For this demonstration of the annotated bibliography, I'm going to use the problem in America of small towns that are in decline. And I'm going to remember that the annotated bibliography that I create contains annotations that are important to me as I complete my research. I don't know about you, but sometimes I can list a lot of websites, but I don't know what was it that I found there. So annotation is a way that we're going to do that. And I'm going to do it together with you, and we're going to start with this. This is our issue. Before we start any project, of course, we want to have a working definition to work from. Otherwise, we're just looking at a bunch of resources and adding them to a bibliography, and that doesn't help. It sounds like a good idea, but it's only going to clutter things up later. So I decided to take on, and so I log into EasyBib and I create a new project. I fill out the project with the information. I make sure that I click MLA 8 and I create that project. Now the project shows up in my list. I'm going to go ahead and click Bibliography as I collect this research that I've already been working on. I've already started my assignment for the annotated bibliography, and I've given it a working title. And I have written out, at least at this stage of the game, what my introductory paragraph is going to be. One of the centerpieces of America has always been the small town. These small towns contribute, according to expert Arthur Morgan, who said and wrote about small towns, such places are vital threads in America's fabric. The fact remains that in 2018, small towns struggle to exist. James Fallows investigates this issue and sees a need for action to prevent ghost town America. By exploring the small town issues of poverty, infrastructure, and home abandonment, I analyze proposed actions designed to resurrect the failing small towns of America through grants, partnerships, and improved infrastructure using government assist programs. So this highlighted thesis statement tells the reader exactly what I will be doing in this essay using the present tense. I'm going to be looking at the poverty, infrastructure, and home abandonment in a select number of small towns that I have chosen. And then I'm going to look at some of the solutions that have been proposed that have to do with partnerships, grants, and improved infrastructure. So this part right now that I'm going to be doing will be the annotated bibliography. And I want this up at the top to show myself and continually to go back to what the point of my whole research is. So let's get started. First, we need to find some resources. I found a great series of articles in the Atlantic, which is a vetted source. We have an author. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create this citation in EasyBib. First, of course, I'm going to copy the URL, and then let's go back to EasyBib. I paste that in to cite it, and it's a website. It could be any of these other numbers of things. We're going to go with website. And we're going to click Cite. And of course we know that we have to scroll past all of these advertisements. We're going to cite it. Here's what they found. And I continue. And they put in the author for me, so everything pretty much is there. Remember these boxes where we're going to add something. So the article is there and contains the information that I need, including the author title. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an annotation. This annotation is to be used by me to help me as I research this long paper, to remind me what this article is about and what information I obtained from this site. So how are we going to fill out this annotation? Well, let's go back to the article. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the article, because I need to remember that this is where I got my Arthur Morgan information. So I'm going to copy this to remind myself what this is about. And for the purposes of this annotated bibliography, it is okay to make the annotation whatever I need for it to be for my memory. Now, don't copy and paste the entire article, because that would be an article bibliography. We just want an annotation, and it's for you. So I'm going to go ahead and just add that this is the deal about this one. I'm going to complete the citation. And there it is, all annotated. Now at the end of my project, when I'm all through with this particular essay and I'm ready to create my final work cited, I'm going to want to edit, and I'm going to want to remove this citation, because citations do not belong in final works cited. And then I would update the citation. All right? Let's keep going. See what else we can find. So this is an article from a newspaper, and I'm going to copy that. And this is general information. I want to teach you a little bit about how to annotate something like this. I'm back over in EasyBib. I'm going to copy that. And this is going to be a newspaper. And I'm going to cite that. It said we couldn't find any sources. So this is going to be an opportunity to see a manual citation. So this didn't take long. I went to that website and I filled in the blanks. This was online, and it was published directly to online. It was a newspaper article. There's the title of the article, and all of that I got back from over here at the article itself. This is the author's name. This is the newspaper title. This is the publisher sponsor. That's the URL that it didn't find. This is when it was published. And the annotation that I added for this is my own little note. When I get ready to outline, I know that this article information is going to go in section 2 of my essay, which is going to be the definition section. That's the area of the essay where I have to prove there is a problem. I can't say small towns in America are in decline, because somebody on the opposition is going to say, no, they're not. They're not on the decline at all. They're doing just fine. So this article was helpful for me to use parts of it to prove my point. So I leave that little note for myself, and that's my annotation, so that when I come back to get ready to write the outline, I have all the information that I need. And I create the citation, and there it is. There's Fred's little article. All right? So let's look at one more together. Now remember, as I'm conducting this research, I'm narrowing my focus and narrowing my focus and narrowing my focus. Because at this point, I've been talking about all small towns in America. Well, I can't write an essay that discusses every single small town in America, so I'm going to find ones that I love. Maybe I've narrowed it down to small towns in Texas. And I decided that one of my research methods is going to be an interview. Now, when I interview this person, I'm going to have my list of questions to ask them. And I'm not going to ask them about statistics or any of the things that I've gotten from my articles. I'm going to ask them about the human side of being in a small town and seeing the numbers and the population decline. And I'm going to ask them what they see as the future for the town, what plans are being made to build the town or keep it alive, so forth, right? So let's say that I found Luther Pesterson. I don't know who that is, I'm just making it up. But it's going to be an interview. So these are in alphabetical order. I scroll down to interview. Now it's going to bring up boxes for me to fill out, and I'm going to fill those out. Okay, so I found this person in a newspaper. This was a personal interview by me. I titled my interview, so I came up with a title, Life in Luling, Texas, the Future of an American Treasure. And then I put the date that I interviewed that person, and these are the ways that I interviewed them, either by phone, whatever. I was the interviewer, me, and then I added another contributor, and I added the interviewee, which was our Luther. Now I'm going to add that citation to my bibliography. Now you'll notice in that field it didn't give me an option to add an annotation. So I'm going to need to add the annotation after I create the Word document for that, and I'll show you how. Okay, so let's say we've got everybody done. This is all I'm going to do for now. And I'm going to do sort, alphabetical. I have MLA already checked. Export, export to a Word doc. Download for MS Word. It opened in my tray, and I enable editing. Okay, so after I enabled the editing, I needed to go ahead and add the annotation manually, not on the form. So I went ahead and indented, and I started typing. And I typed, this interview covers questions about the decline of Luling population and the town's plan to rejuvenate the city. Activities and legislation proposed to the state for funding of roads, parks, and community centers. So I'm telling myself what I covered in this interview. But now look, this is in a wrong font. So I need to highlight this, go up here and change it to Times New Roman, and I need to change it to 12 so that it's consistent with everything else. And now look, there I have my pretty annotated bibliography. Now yours, of course, is going to be much longer, but this covers 3 research methods, doesn't it? First, we have an article from a media company that's a statistical based article. Then we have a newspaper article, and we have an interview, a personal interview conducted. So am I ready to just go back over to the website and submit this? No, I'm not, because there's a format that I need to follow. So I'm going to fill in that format, and then I'll show you what that looks like. I'll be right back. I went back over to the website and opened up that PDF that explains the format for this annotated bibliography, and I need to add this information to the top. The working essay title, comfortable, whatever it is, the broad category, narrow focus, and this information. And then I'm going to add my works cited. So I'm going to add this information in, and then I'll be right back. So now I've got my document ready to submit. There's my name, course, annotated bibliography, date. There's the working title, The Resurrection of the Small Town America. Now that's going to change because I'm going to narrow my focus, and I'm going to end up focusing on Texas, but that's a working title for now. I'm not going to grade you down if your title changes from this draft to the end. Most titles do. So my broad topic is small town America. The broad category is one of the centerpieces of America has always been the small town. A little bit of information about the category. The narrow focus is going to be the efforts to save small towns in Texas. And of course, I'm going to narrow that even more to specific towns. And my thesis is, by exploring the small town issues of poverty, infrastructure, and home abandonment, I analyze proposed actions designed to resurrect the failing small towns of, and of course this is going to change to Texas or whatever it changes to, maybe it's Connecticut, I don't know, through grants, partnerships, and improved infrastructure using government assist programs. So that's my working thesis. That's going to change as the project goes on, but that is for this assignment for this project. And now I can scroll down and see the bibliography that I just copied from EasyBib. So that completes this overview of the annotated bibliography. And among those research methods, you will find a number included in the textbook as well as resources in this course. Perhaps you investigate by creating a little field study or continue looking up legislation. That's another research method, and so forth. But that is a demonstration of using EasyBib to create your annotated bibliography. And that concludes this tutorial. Welcome to this phase of the multiple source essay.